Hello everybody, it's Lazel here with another Magic the Gathering EDH deck tech. Today we are looking at Azusa, Lost But Seeking. She's a 3 mana 1/2 with the text, you may play 2 additional lands on each of your turns. Azusa is a ramp spell in your command zone, so as soon as she is on the battlefield you can start ramping, gaining a huge mana advantage and getting ahead with the game. You want to win the game by playing powerful creature cards like Greensleeves, Marrow Sorcerer, a 5 mana XX and protection from planeswalkers and from wizards. Greensleeves, Marrow Sorcerer's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control, and whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you create a free green badger creature token. Ulvenwald Hydra, a 6 mana XX with reach, and Ulvenwald Hydra's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. When Ulvenwald Hydra enters the battlefield, you may search a library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Ghalta Stampede Tyrant, 8 mana 12/12 trample, and when Ghalta Stampede Tyrant enters the battlefield, put any number of creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield. Avenger of Zendikar, 7 mana 5/5, and when it enters the battlefield, create a 0/1 green plant creature token for each land you control. With Landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may put a +1/+1 counter on each plant creature you control. Multani, Yavimaya's Avatar, 6 mana 0/0 reach trample, and Multani, Yavimaya's Avatar gets +1/+1 for each land you control and each land card in your graveyard. For 2 mana and returning 2 lands you control to their owner's hand, return Multani from your graveyard to your hand. Ashaya, Sword of the Wild, 5 mana XX. Ashaya, Sword of the Wild's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. Non-token creatures you control are forests in addition to their other types. In my opinion, Azusa ramps a little bit differently. Sure, you play Nature's Law on turn 2, so search your library for a forest card, put that card onto the battlefield and then shuffle. Or free visits, search your library for a forest card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. But from turn 3 on, in my opinion, Azusa is your ramp spell, so all you want to do is find lands to your hand so you can play them out and profit from all of those triggers. With cards like Seek the Horizon, 4 mana sorcery, search a library for up to 3 basic land cards, reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. Green Sun's Twilight can be both, you find a creature and a land card. For 1 green and X, reveal the top X +1 cards of your library. Choose a creature card and or a land card from among them. Put those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If X is 5 or more, instead put the chosen cards onto the battlefield or into your hand and then the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Nylea's Intervention, 2 green and X, choose 1. Search your library for up to X land cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. Or Nylea's Intervention deals twice X damage to each creature with flying. And one of my favorites in this deck, Nissa's Triumph, for 2 green sorcery, search your library for up to 2 basic forest cards. If you control a Nissa planeswalker, instead search your library for up to 3 land cards. Reveal those cards, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. But there are more ways how we can play out lands. For example, with Oracle of Muldaya, a 4 mana 2/2, and you may play an additional land on each of your turns. Play with the top card of your library revealed, and you may play lands from the top of your library. Cursor of Kruphix, 3 mana 2/4. Play with the top card of your library revealed. You may play lands from the top of your library. And Landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. Augur of Autumn, 3 mana 2/3. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play lands from the top of your library. And with Coven enabled, as long as you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, you may cast creature spells from the top of your library. Let's talk about a few more powerful Landfall synergies. Rampaging Baloths, 6 mana 6/6 trample. And Landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may create a 4/4 green beast creature token. Tireless Tracker, 3 mana 3/2 with Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, investigate. And whenever you sacrifice a clue, put a +1/+1 counter on Tireless Tracker. Skewed Swarm, 3 mana 1/1. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 green insect creature token. If you control 6 or more lands, create a token that's a copy of Skewed Swarm instead. Zendikar's Royal, 5 mana enchantment with Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 2/2 green elemental creature token. Let's draw some cards. Regal Force, 7 mana 5/5, and when it enters the battlefield, draw a card for each green creature you control. Soul of the Harvest, 6 mana 6/6 trample. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. Beast Whisperer, 4 mana 2/3, whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. Garruk's Uprising, 3 mana enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw a card. creatures you control have trample, and whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. Up the Beanstalk, 2 mana enchantment. When it enters the battlefield and whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, draw a card. Elder Gargaroth, 5 mana 6/6 Vigilance Reach Trample. When Elder Gargaroth attacks or blocks, choose one. Create a 3/3 green beast creature token, you gain 3 life, or draw a card. You want to win more? You get it. Titania, Nature's Force, 6 mana 6/6. You may play forests from your graveyard. Whenever a forest enters the battlefield under your control, create a 5/3 green elemental creature token. And whenever an elemental you control dies, you may mill 3 cards. Nissa, Ascended Animist, 7 mana and 2 of those are green Phyrexian mana with 7 loyalty with completed and +1. Create an XX green Phyrexian horror creature token where X is Nissa Ascended Animist's loyalty. -1, destroy target artifact or enchantment. And her -7 is a complete game finisher. Until end of turn, creatures you control get +1/+1 for each forest you control and gain trample. And last but not least, Cultivator Colossus, 7 mana XX trample, and Cultivator Colossus power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. When Cultivator Colossus enters the battlefield, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you do, draw a card and repeat this process. Alright guys, these were a few ideas of mine of cards that I would play in Azusa Lost but Seeking. Let me know down in the comments below which cards you would play, which legendary creature I shall feature next, and then I would say see you in the next video. Goodbye guys.